everybody thinks you're on this path alone, but there's a whole lot of other people who are going through it with you, and we'd be more than happy to help.
Something burning.
Yeah, there's something burning.
Something's burning. Sorry.
You smell it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Y'all smell
Could be just the heating system. The heating system, if it hasn't been on for a while,
No, it's not that smell. It's not that smell.
Oh, I can smell it. Yeah.
It smells electronic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, she ain't smoking.
Is
the camera?
any lithium batteries around.
It's not a heat.
over here.
It's not my fault. Heating vent area, you might be
Could be
surprised.
just the heater coming on.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's solitary
God,
in here.
I smell it. No, I did. Real bad.
That doesn't smell
Not
like
that bad,
Yeah, well, like
Yeah, I think it's just dust.
no.
Sorry about that, Tyra. I think it's just dust.
It's John Kerry.
Y'all see me, let me say this.
Right.
Y'all see me easing over towards it? Oh, yeah, I can smell it, right?
Yeah.
Over here.
I wonder if they put that
Leave the door open for air.
I just turned the fan on, so.
It might be coming from.
I smell it out there, man.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's weird.
Just in case.
That's right.
So as I'm saying, I said we are together on this journey.
Excuse me, sir, could you speak up a little bit?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank
You hear me? Okay.
Now.
Tough crowd. Man, 8:30 was a lot easier.
Now, okay, so, 8:30 was easy, was what?
Right.
4
No,
or
it
5
wasn't
minutes?
meant to be.
No, it's okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Another reason I'm gonna talk about this because we need to survive this journey. Later on, I'll talk about it's like a marathon, but a marathon is not just finishing the race. It's not just getting to the finish line, but you also have to finish the race. And I'll explain the difference now later on. You have to own your journey. When we talk about all the experts we hear, they talk about all the things, the tactics of job search, and how the experts sometimes conflict with each other. And then we're stuck in the middle trying to figure out which one to listen to. The big one, to find the strength to attack the challenges that can make us think we are less than the fighters we have to be. In a nutshell, this means things that beat you up. Mentally and spiritually beat you up every day. You apply for a job and you get that rejection immediately. This is an important one. I hope you see some of the humor in this. And also see our blessings. Everybody in here thinks that they have it worse than everybody else. And one of us is right and the rest of us are wrong. And the truth is, no matter how bad you think you have it, there's always somebody that has it worse. Now, I was at a meeting and they talked about a guy who went to another meeting who lived in the woods across from the church. Not his cabin in the woods, he lived in the woods. So if you think it's bad, it can always be worse. And my feeling about that is you don't have the right to be so arrogant to think you got it bad, you're worse than somebody else. Because there always is somebody. I've been out 6 months. I thought it was bad because I talked to somebody who's been out 2 years. Then I talked to somebody who's been out 3 years. Then I talked to somebody who's been out 5 years. So how can I feel sorry for me when people like that are still going? They haven't given up. And because we're looking for the pony. I don't know if you heard about, there's a story, and it has a couple of different ways they tell it, but it's basically 2 kids get their Christmas gifts. One gets gifts and one gets a pile of manure. And the parents are trying to do something out of it. But they come see the kid with the pile of poop, and he's digging frantic. And they're like, why are you digging in that. He says, well, with all this manure, there's got to be a pony in there somewhere. And I tell that story, first because I think it's funny, but I tell that story because that's kind of what we're dealing with. You know, we're dealing with a lot of crap, but we have to keep trying to find the pony or the golden ring or whatever in the midst of all the stuff that we're dealing with. I'm sorry, I thought the church. Every time we go see a speaker, they always have the quotes, right? It's like, rah rah. Here's my quote. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act but a habit. Anybody know who said that? Don't have a clue? Aristotle. That quote means nothing to us. I just put it up there because I had to have some quotes. Look, and the problem, but it points out what the problem with quotes are. The problem with quotes are, the quotes assume you got a job already. You know, be excellent, do your best. Well, you give me a job and I do my best. But I don't have a job, so, you know, anyway. Another quote. You want through hell, just keep going. Anybody ever heard that? There you go, it's in church here. And this next one, everybody should get. Obi-Wan.
Wow.
Everybody.
Okay. Yeah, give him a hand.
And my final quote.
Probably a Tyrone quote.
Without knowing exactly. Who said that?
Tyrone, is that you?
No, it's not.
Custer.
I gave you a hint though. But this quote is more appropriate to what we're going through. And what I mean by that is, we are outnumbered. There's a lot more. Remember back in high school when they had the cool kids and the rest of us? Now the cool kids are people with jobs, and there's the rest. They outnumber us. You come in here this morning on 285 or 75, you saw all the cool kids. They weren't all coming to this meeting. The point is, like the rule says, when you outnumber the attack, you can't shy back from job search. I tell a lot of my friends, I'm a shy person. People don't believe me. I say, well, you know what? When you're 6'4", you can't be shy. And everybody in who's shy in job search knows when you're looking for a job, you can't be shy. You have to attack. You have to open yourself up, and you have to become a different person. You have to become a salesperson. You know, we all see the people. We all know the salespeople in job search because their elevator speeches are like awesome. You know, they get up and they talk, and you're like, wow, that was great. But the rest of us don't have that naturally. So when I say attack, I mean you have to get outside of your shell. You can't back away and wait for a job to come to you. You have to go after it. Talk about expert advice. Context matters. Experts on resumes, experts on LinkedIn, everything else. And it's easy to think that, oh, if I just follow what this person says, it will work out. But take it back to the Bible. Anybody know that scripture? Anybody know the book it's from? Isaiah. One of them. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Everybody's heard people say that. But what it didn't mean is get in a gang fight and standing like this because everybody's shooting, but nobody will shoot you. Again, context matters. Just because the quote says that doesn't mean you're protected from every gun. There's another one. Wait on the Lord. Ever heard that? Psalm 37:34. But it doesn't mean on the couch watch those. Again, the context matters. Okay. How many people have heard somebody say, well, I asked God for a job. I'm just going to sit home and wait for it. It is your journey. So when you hear the experts talking, remember that. It's not their journey. They may have helped hundreds or thousands of people get jobs, but they haven't helped you get a job. And just because what they have done works for other people does not mean it'll work for you. Of course, I always ask, or want to ask, I never rude enough to ask it, but somebody says, I've helped 100 people get jobs. How many have you tried to help? 100 or 5,000 is not a good ratio. I don't mean to disparage it, but I'm just saying, when you hear the experts, you have to remember, at the end of the day, it is your journey. I went through and looked at all the topics that we go to meetings on. And for anybody who's just in jobs, if you just started, doesn't know all the things you need to worry about, here's a good list for you. Here's the things, and tell me if you haven't been to a meeting where they discuss these things. It's amazing, right? Negotiate compensation. LinkedIn profiles. Build your target list. Jobs and Twitter. Get interviews. Personal branding. Networking. Business cards. Meeting hiring managers. Elevator speeches. Marketing plans. I'm not done yet. This is all the stuff you have to learn to get a job. Informational interviews. Interview questions. Thank you cards. Getting past some HR screeners. Online job sites. Company research. That's just some of it. I've been to a meeting, at least one networking meeting on every one of these subjects. And every one of these people, and every one of the experts said, if you do what I do, you will get a job. Again, it's your journey. Remember that, it's yours. It's not mine, it's not anybody else's. Some facts about job search. You're not here because you couldn't do your job. You're here because your life got hijacked. It wasn't performance-based. How many people here had a very good review, their last review when they were working? Okay, so it wasn't, you know, and the funny thing is, everybody raised their hand thought they were the only one. You know, they thought, well, everybody else was bad, but I'm good. And then you see everybody's hand go up and you realize everybody was doing a good job, but they're still here. It's not about you. It's not personal. They weren't trying to get you. I say there are a couple of ways that people ended up in this situation. One is they took a vote and you were in the bathroom, and when they called your name, nobody raised their hand. All right. Or the other way is they put everybody's name in a hat. The first 50 people got bonuses, everybody else got laid off. It's that simple. It's not personal. It's not, oh well, we had to look at, you know, it could have been, you could have been the highest paid person in the room. You could have been the hardest working person in the room too. But it had nothing to do with you. So get that part out of your head that it's personal, that they were out to get me. Because we all thought that for maybe, you know, a couple of days. But it's not. It's somebody in your headquarters in Europe said, everybody in this office, lay them off. Why? Because the rent's too high. That's it. Creme de la creme. Getting laid off. I just want to make sure I spelled it right. But they got laid off too. Some of the stars. We've all been in networking meetings where you go around the table introducing yourself, and somebody give their elevator speech, and you're just like, wow, that was so cool. And then you're like, wow, they did that first one. And then you think, well, if that person can't find a job, I know I'm in trouble. There's some stars out here. You know, and I mean, we're all stars in our own way, but there are some people that you just sit there and go, well, this is ugly. This is the hardest job you ever had, too. This is the hardest job. You remember when we were working and you took a weekend off and you went to Florida somewhere? You didn't go as an analyst or as a program director or anything. You went as you. Had to sneak in. I'm sorry. But yeah, you're right, I did. But when you took time off from your job, you didn't take your job with you. You took your family or you, and you weren't whatever you were. You were Joe or Jane or whoever. When you're in transition and you hear people say, I'm going to take a couple of days off from job search. I'm not going to do anything about job search. They're lying. Because you can go, I know a guy who goes, plays golf in Las Vegas every now and then. But while he's out there golfing, he's still in transition. Okay? You don't, this is 168 hours a week. From the time you wake up till the time you go to bed, and then in your dreams, you are in job transition. You know, I said earlier, I can't wait to get a job just so I can get a vacation. But seriously, think about, remember when you were working, it was like, I work 50, 60 hours a week. I would love to work 50, 60 hours a week and be able to put it down, you know, to work 5 hours on Saturday, but then put it away. You can't put this away. Some of the people on my mailing list know, they get emails from me all kinds of weird hours. You know, I wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, I go check my email because I'm looking for a job. And you're looking for a job all the time. And think about it, this is the hardest job you had and the lowest paying job too. So I didn't mean to make y'all feel bad.
That's true.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, remember when you were a kid, everybody had cooties. We all had cooties. You ever try to, you know, when you start trying to get those LinkedIn recommendations? Or worse, you try to get a LinkedIn introduction and the person won't reply back for 2 or 3 months. Or you call somebody for an information interview, you know, you got cooties. Your friends, remember your friends you used to hang with. You find out that the group of people you used to hang with who still have jobs, they're still hanging out. They just forget to tell you when they go somewhere. And they, oh, well, you're not working, we figured you didn't want to go. You got cooties. That's the only way I could figure out. That's the only way I could explain.
Sad but true.
I know.
Everybody go home and tell you that, oh, cooties. Right?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Y'all have to say anything.
After your 8:30, a close second is Ceridian, so.
But I know somebody, and they just left, so I can talk about it. They actually, and this is a true story, they saw a job that they wanted to apply for. Hit apply now, and saw Taleo come up, and they sat there for 20 minutes thinking about it. Trying to decide if the job was worth the pain that they were going to go through to apply for it. That's a true story. I had a situation about 2-3 weeks ago. I applied for a job, and you know how Taleo works. You got to copy and paste your resume and pull all your drop downs, and then at the end it says, "Would you like to upload your resume?" I just spent 25 minutes doing it. And I did it, and I hit submit, and it crashed. They got that error saying, please see your web developer or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah. So you hit back a couple of times, you redo it again, you go forward, it crashed again. See your web developer, whoever. I did it 3 times because I'm stuck. Because you know, now it's like, no, you're not going to win. So you just,
Right.
you just keep banging your head against that wall because you're stuck. Finally, I said, okay, I gotta give up. Let me go and try to find this web guy that they're talking about. I go to the company's website, and there's no, hey, Taleo screwed up, call us. But nowhere on there. I finally ended up clicking on, would you like to upgrade your service? And sent them a nasty email. Because that was the only way to contact the company. I just asked this of any of you, when you land, if you're in a position where you get to renew their contract, don't. Just remember what they put us through. But to be honest, it's interesting about Taleo. This is an example of mediocrity in corporate America. And what I mean by that is, because they got a contract with like everybody. Apparently, nobody who signed that contract is trying them out.
Right.
Okay?
Or they don't care.
They went in with a couple of PowerPoint slides and they sold everybody on it. And nobody's looking at it.
Right.
So
So you could sign a contract.
when you land, when you HR people, if you have the opportunity, they send us an email and tell us.
I know, right?
And all the biggest companies use them too.
That's right.
Like the hospitality industry, every
Government,
big company I go to apply for uses it.
You know what gives me? If I got a Taleo account, you know, because I got to remember the password and everything. I got a Taleo account, I put all my stuff in there. If I apply for 10 jobs at 10 different companies, why do I need 10 Taleo accounts?
Right,
Right.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. I ain't sure what else.
I even just
Oh,
had
my
somebody
kids
in
would just
Toledo.
take that over
about a
all
year-
the time.
I just
I
looked at
said,
somebody in
"What?"
Toledo about a year ago. I called them and I said, you know, I just sort of explained that it was frustrating because the site was always a problem, and it was like, sorry, we don't know that.
See the web developer, right? Or contact the company director. What's funny though is some companies, and I don't know how Taleo works, but in some companies they have implemented it right. Every once in a while you'll come across a company that says up front, upload your resume.
Yes.
But then the other ones are, you know, 25 minutes of drop down boxes, you know, you start trying to figure out how to put, what's your salary? You gotta put something in there, you put all X's and then, oh, can they say that? You put all zeros, they want to say this, you gotta put a number in. I mean, it's, if they're trying to find people for jobs, they're missing a whole lot of people. But anyway, don't cheer me up. Anybody ever had, you know, you're in that bad mood, and your friends come over and they start trying to play rah-rah session on you, and you want to kill them? All right. Remember back in high school, it's like when your boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, dumped you, and all your friends come over the house, and come on, let's go out and do something. No, I just want to sit here. I earned this madness, anger. I want to enjoy it, embrace it. You know, you feel like that. It's like I earned this. You know, you get a rejection, and you're mad about it. And you know, it's like, let me have it. When you see people in that situation, well, first I say there's a reason there are very few cheerleaders at funerals. You see somebody in this situation, before you try to cheer them up, just acknowledge that what they're going through is real. You know, if you had a bad day and somebody comes over and try to cheer you up, you know, you don't want it. But if they come over and they, you know, they listen to you, and they're like, you know what, you're right, that's messed up. Then they can say, okay, what you gonna do about it? Now, you can work. But my point is, bless you, my point is, we all, because it came up in here actually, this question came up in life lessons meeting about 2 months ago. And they said, what do you do when you have somebody in that bad place? And, you know, some people were saying, well, you know, you gotta kick them to the curb and keep moving. And that's true. You know, the thing was, if somebody's drowning and you try to help them, they start trying to pull you down, what do? You kick them off, you let them drown. But that's what they said to me. The people that were here remember, that's what they said to me. But my point is, you have the best intentions, but think about when you're in that situation and you're not feeling it. And the last thing you want is for somebody to come over with pom-poms and flags and try to shoot you up.
My other favorite phrases from my friend is, well, why don't you just,
Right.
and that's my favorite, why don't you just, 'cause, yeah, they just don't.
Look, yeah.
Yeah.
Because when people are mad themselves, they understand it. But they can't understand why you're mad.
Yeah.
Have you tried?
Yeah.
Right, right. Oh, I love that one.
We got to do the whole thing.
Or your mom.
Employment conference. Remember you were working and you never thought you would lose your job. How many people, seriously, we're seeing people all around them losing jobs? Ain't gonna happen to me.
Yeah.
I gotta get rid of you. Hey, don't get rid of me. I just got a promotion. Okay. I was at a meeting and a person, I think it was a lady who was here a couple of weeks ago. She said she had to go and tell her husband he was laid off. But she couldn't tell him. So she just went, what was the lady who was last week? We were doing the, something. But anyway, she said she couldn't tell him. So she just kind of went to him and said, tell him for a job. Just kept going. You know, it's rough. You know, she couldn't tell him, you're about to get laid off. I know my wife.
They're gonna
tell
suffer.
me, we don't have time. I'm not saying what we're gonna talk about. But anyway, employment confidence. I said, not me. I'm not gonna laid off. I'm the most valuable person in here. I knew one person who had to go off for surgery, and she kept postponing it for about a year. That's trying to look. The lights will still come on when you don't come to work tomorrow. You know, because she thought she was that valuable. Nope. This is, I hope it's funny thing you said when you had a job. I just feel like getting a new car. I don't need a new car. I just feel like it. Mine is 3 years old. I finished paying for it. I just feel like getting a new car. Starbucks is the best coffee in the world. Remember when you were working? Spending $7 a morning for a cup of coffee? It was easy. I go by Starbucks now and see the line of people. I bet every one of them people got a job. This one. All right now. All right. So, starting to hit a little close to home, right?
That's right.
Back when you were working,
That's right.
you know, Macy's is having a sale. All right, I'm not gonna point and look at nobody. This is important. Everybody is always talking about the unemployment rate is 10%, 9.5%, whatever.
25.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
It could be 1%, it could be 5%, it could be 10%. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what side of the line you're on. The unemployment rate is 99%. And you're that one person with a job. It's cool. Unemployment rate is 1%. And you're that one person. It's not so cool. All that matters is where you are. If they say the unemployment rate is dropping, so I still don't have a job. They say it's rising, whatever, it doesn't matter. Remember what they told us? Labor Day is going to loosen up. That was the first thing they said. After Labor Day, jobs going to loosen up. And they said, okay, well, now they said after the election. After the election, or jobs are going to start loosening up. Doesn't matter. All that matters is I don't have a job. So when you hear the people on TV talking about it, if you're on the good side of that line, because believe me, all your working friends, they don't care what the unemployment rate is, because they got jobs. Some of y'all remember that song, Parents Just Don't Understand.
Yeah.
Your friends are working, and you talk to them about what you're going through. Okay. All right. I know people have been asked that question. What are you watching TV all day? I'm not making this up. Everybody says, how's your job search going?
That one.
Oh, you're still looking for a job. I know somebody whose parent said that to me. You're still looking for a job? Exactly how they said it. You know, what's that hurts?
I think I've heard that before.
Because everybody thinks there's just a ton of jobs out there. Oh, this one got a job. Why can't you get a job? Why don't you apply for a part-time job? I'll get to you. You know why we don't apply for part-time jobs? Because if you got a PhD or a master's degree and Racetrack turns you down for a clerk position, it feels worse than you did before you applied for it.
Yep.
That's why we don't apply for part-time jobs.
I find it frustrating, no matter who you talk to. Like, I get on the phone with my mother, my brother, friends. The first question, hey, how you doing? How's your job search going?
Yeah.
And my mother always comes up with things. Well, have you checked out doing babysitting? She comes up with,
Wow.
I mean, I'm just using that as an example. I mean, my mother's, she's 78 years old. She doesn't know diddly squat about finding a job now. She's always asking me stupid questions. Why don't you get into, helping senior citizens? And I mean, she just comes up with silly ideas to start a new business, which isn't something you do and find a job at the same time.
Well, I was talking earlier about the unemployment rate is 10%. you have friends that say, well, that means 90% of the people who want jobs got jobs, right? So what's wrong with you? People don't get it.
It's the ones closest to you.
Huh?
The
Exactly.
ones closest to you, that they don't get it. They
And they
want to
don't
help,
do
they
it.
don't know how.
Right. And they don't get
Your
it
mother's
out of
dying
anger.
for you to get a job, my wife is dying for me to get a job.
Yeah.
You know, but they haven't been through it, so they don't have a clue.
And the thing is, you can't, I don't care how much you love your spouse, if they're working, you really can't explain this to them. And they really can't understand it. You know, they get up and see you go out every day. Just come home, get a job yet?
I dread Sunday mornings because that's when the Sunday paper comes,
Mhm.
and then we have the inevitable moment where she goes through the employment ads on Sunday.
Oh, man.
She goes, have you ever thought about forklift operator?
Oh, it's, I mean, that's the thing, the family, and it's not that they don't love you. They just don't get it.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, it's very like, 'cause I will get email from my parents and forwarding me these jobs that they had no clue. It's probably that they got it in their email because someone spamming them.
Yeah.
And they will forward that to me, and they will even call me and say, oh, did you see that job?
Yeah.
Oh, that I forwarded to you? And did you call them? It's like, they will follow up with me. It's like, have you considered that? And blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like, and then all those were like, even one I saw, I was like, like how they, there are some people out there trying to get your bank account and all that information and stuff, and they even forward me those. I mean, but I have to look at them, you have
It's like, I don't want to sell Viagra online, but I gotta look at every one of those ads that come through, asking me, do I want to know?
Yeah, my wife and I had a tense moment recently when, I mean, we've known each other for 30 years. I'm in the IT field. Right. But she doesn't know what that means really. When you say you're a computer guy or in the IT, that covers it. And she said, a Linux administrator. Could you do that? And she was going through all these programmer type jobs and stuff, and I said, no, that's not really my field. What is your field? She got frustrated.
And that's the thing, I mean, they love us, and they want what's best for us, they just don't know. They don't understand what we're going through.
They haven't walked in the shoes.
Yeah.
Or you get, how many jobs are you applying for every day?
Yeah.
Like they're just out there that, their particular niche is just there.
There's 280,000 jobs created this month. You gotta apply for all of them.
Exactly.
The other one is, what do you do all day?
Yeah.
A lot of housework done.
I'm like, I look for jobs.
You know what gets me is, and I've heard this at several meetings where they'll say, well, you gotta do informational face-to-face meetings with 6 or 8 people a week, and you run out of people. You could maybe do it 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month, and then you really just run out of people because word gets out. You're trying to network into a company and you start meeting with people and all of a sudden everybody knows your name, but not because, when we get a job, we're gonna call him. It's like, I got a call from Tyrone. Wait, I gotta talk to him now. I'll put him on. And because I'll be honest, I remember 10, 15 years ago when I was working, I work system, but I remember somebody called me for an informational interview and I had no idea what they were. They said, I wanted to do company research. And I remember, I was young, I asked around, just ignore that person. We all put that person, we just delay that person. And now when you're on the other side of it, it's like, wow. I mean, it's, the thing of, I used to say, because part of me always wanted to be a motivational speaker, and I used to say, well, I had nothing to talk about. I say, well, God, I'll do it if you give me something to talk about.
I think something you have to keep in mind, it causes a lot of frustration, but I just got to keep telling myself that 90% that is working, they're doing the jobs of people that left also, So you're looking at a lot of long weeks. So they're under tremendous pressure themselves. So for, to call, hey, can you meet with me for a cup of coffee? They just don't feel like.
I mean, that's a real good point.
Well, and I think there's something that HR, I think the HR specialist probably know, it's called survivorship guilt. Those that didn't lose their job and the management that had to do the firing at your old company have this sort of emotional blockage against reaching out and trying to help those that they let go. Now, and I think that there's this standoff from that point because they feel bad.
I called somebody that I used to have lunch with all the time, 2 weeks after we finally connected, and his whole, oh, it's you, his voice, like, oh, I could tell, damn, I answered the phone.
I know from some of my friends, at my former company, I was there for 16 years. And I know from some of my friends that are there, they went through this traumatic with, separation and feeling. They went through a grieving process for the ones that had left them, And so we're beginning to bond again, but it's been almost a year.
People that have cancer talk about this same thing, how people distance themselves, and it's the same phenomenon.
I mean, I joke about it all the time, but really, it's that it's a couple of reasons. One is that survivorship guilt. But some people are afraid to be known to be talking to you.
Right.
Some people will tell you if you call them at work, you call me on my cell phone. If you ask them for a LinkedIn reference, and they'll send you to an email, and it's like, no, I need you to actually. Is my name going to be on it? But
I think they also are afraid to say the wrong thing to you. Some of them really don't want to hurt your feelings, and they just don't want that offer.
They don't want it, exactly. But the thing about it, for us, it's not awkward. When you went out in job search, it's not awkward.
Right.
It's really not awkward.
Right.
But the other thing is, I just said, here's what I was like, why can't you find a job?
Yeah.
How many people?
That's what all the working people say. They're like,
I had a guy tell me, hey, there's a million jobs out there. Just go on the internet.
Right.
In response to that question, what I find the most interesting about that one is when it's usually a person that has not been in the job market, been out here for a while, or let's say my brother who retired after being on a job for 37 years, or
I hate retirees. They're sitting back going, oh, I'm cool, I got my pension.
Well, but not only that, because see, they haven't come into the 21st century having to look for a job, and in the last 4 or 5 years having to look for a job. However, 10 years ago it wasn't as difficult. 20 years ago it wasn't. Even if they lost their job 20 years ago, it wasn't as difficult. But now it's different. So they just can't. They have no clue. Well, why can't you find a job? When I was laid off 20 years ago, I went out and found a job like that.
Well,
I said, so did I.
You know what the thing? You got to realize too. That's a good point. The market is so different now.
Yeah.
Think about, first of all, 10, 15 years ago, you picked up the Sunday paper, and that's how you look. Now it's all online, which is a blessing and a curse, because now the HR screeners are electronic.
Right.
And they're looking for the keywords. It used to be if you send in a resume, a real person at least give you 10 seconds.
Yes.
Now the computers give you a tenth of a second scanning it down, looking for certain words that you don't know which words they're looking for. If they don't see the words, you get kicked out. So now we've had to change and start trying to network into a company. I mean, think about 10, 15 years ago.
These people that are asking you that question, they don't know that.
Exactly.
They don't know. And you try to educate them on it, and they
think you're crazy. You're like, it's not like that. Seriously, how many people in here, first, have in your job search have never sent a physical resume, have never mailed a resume to somebody? Just printed it off, opened it up, signed it, and sent it. All right? I've applied a couple hundred jobs, never sent a physical resume. It's because it's all online. You go to a job fair and you You know, you show up, with your suit on, and you and 15,
Yeah.
20,000 other people.
They don't want your resume. They throwing it.
You know, like you say, here's my resume, I'm here for an interview, and they're like, no, apply online. And you're like, well, I could have stayed home.
Yeah.
I've been waiting in line for 5 hours in this hot suit, you know, nothing to eat, and, you know, but anyway, let's get off subject. Now, this is when we ask each other, what's
Right.
working for you?
Right.
Nothing is working for me, all right? If it was working for me, I wouldn't be here. I'd be working for you.
Oh, I just wanted to share something that I now find humorous, but I didn't think it was humorous when it happened. I got laid off, or downsized, whatever you want to call it. And 2 months later, I get this really nice looking box, and I open it up, and there's this plaque that says, "Congratulations on your retirement," from the company that laid me off.
Wow.
I knew you didn't laugh, didn't you?
No, I didn't laugh.
Did you say, where's the money?
So let's talk about how you survive this.
I know you got my head is all in
You
there.
gotta trust God. You can call him God, Muhammad, Allah, whatever you want to call him, but you gotta trust him.
And I'm gonna take this.
When you say me, I don't trust him. Anybody know what that's from? Oh, come on. Okay. Verse 5. He's coming later. Job 13:15. Everybody know the story of Job? Basically, he lost everything as a test. It reminds me of, remember the movie Trading Places? They like took everything from Dan Aykroyd for $1 bet. Now, it's bad enough you lose everything and then find out it was just a test. They didn't want to see what you would do. My point is, as bad as you think you have it, you got this bad. You still got your family. They're getting on your nerves because they keep asking you about a job, but you still have it. You may still have your house, your car. You still have things. In the midst of everything he was going through, he just said, I'm still going to trust him. That's how you have to be. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him and he will direct thy path. Trust him. I'll tell you what to do. That was Proverbs. I heard this. Pray like it's all up to God and work like it's all up to you. So slide earlier was talking about sitting on the couch waiting on the Lord. I said, Lord, I know it's up to him. I know. But at the same time,
Faith without works is dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this thing, people say, well, why me? Well, why not you?
Right.
Why should it be the person next to you? I mean, what makes you so great that you shouldn't get laid off? Or you shouldn't be out here looking? You know, they say, Lord won't put more in you than you can handle. Maybe you can handle it better than that person. Now, I had a friend, and a few people here know the person. She had a Krispy Kreme run. She was drive searching, you know. She's driving past Krispy Kreme, and that hot light went on. In the Krispy Kreme. Got a dozen. Sat in the car, ate 7 of them. Felt terrible after, but she said she felt so good. She was eating donuts. And the funny thing is, everybody in here can understand exactly how she felt. If you go tell this to people who are working, they're like, she paid? No. It's, again, it's that mental journey. You have those times when you just, you know, for me, my weakness is Taco Bell, that 89-cent 5-layer burrito. And, you know, because then you're like, oh, I got $1.03. Go right in there. Story of the hunt. I like this story. I've heard it. This guy was a shipwreck, and it's, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's cool. Guy he was the sole survivor of a shipwreck. He made it to an island. Looked around, nobody was there. He tried to flag down ships and planes, couldn't try to flag anybody down. Wrote SOS in the sand, all that good stuff. Nobody came. So he finally said, okay, well, I'm going to be here a while. Build a hut. Because he was still grabbing stuff off the shipwreck and trying to save stuff. So he had his little hut. Just put all the stuff in there, and every day he would go out and get food. Fish and whatever, come back, bring stuff to his hut. One day he was out getting his food, comes back, hut's on fire. Burnt up. And he's like, well, now I'm screwed. So he sits there. Next day a ship comes. Rescues him. He's like, thankful, but like, how did you know I was here? I've been, here all this time, but nobody found me. They said, we saw you smoke signals. The moral of that story, I won't read all this, but basically said, it just made me the smoke signals that summons the grace of God. The moral I took from this story, maybe God is saying, I had to take your house to save your life. Think about that if you're put in a situation where you might lose your house. I don't mean that to be funny. My point is, the worst thing that can happen to you might be happening to you for a very good reason. When you got laid off, you thought it was the worst thing in the world. But looking back, and I know we all want our jobs back, but think about what we've learned. Think about the people you've met you would never have known. Think about what you know about yourself. I say for me, I was joking earlier, I said, God, give me something to talk about, and he did. I would never have met some of the people who I hope will be friends the rest of my life. I would never know the things about myself that I know now. For me, this has been some really great adventure. I'm ready for it to end, but I've learned so much about what I would do, about who I am. This whole motivational speaking aspect of my life, if it's God's will that I take this and run with it, and all of a sudden that's my job, the first thing I promise is that I will never charge a job seekers network group to come speak. I'll make it up when I go to corporations, so I'm going to charge them as much as I can. But my point is this, I would never have known this. The things that, all these slides, I didn't do any research on it. This was just stuff that I had conversations with people about. But the things I know, I will never forget. Because we're all, some of the people in here, if we didn't see each other for 20 years, and then we saw each other, we would have a connection. It's like people in the military, they're in a foxhole. You spend a foxhole with somebody one night, you're watching their back, they're watching your back. Somebody earlier talked about the job list I send out, the jobs I send. And people say, why do you do it? Why are you trying to help other people? Somebody on the list got a job yesterday as a 3-month contract, and they sent me an email, and they said, hey, I just got a job at Piedmont. And then the next sentence, they said, let me know if I can look out for anything for you. That's why I do it. That, when I'm helping 90 people and I got 90 people looking out for me, that's why I do it. If in job search, you can't be selfish. Because number one, if you are, everybody's gonna know. Remember that old saying, in the 80s, it was like somebody walk in the room and say, hi, what can you do for me?
Right.
When you see people like that in job search, nobody will say anything, but everybody's thinking the same thing. I'm not saying a word to that person, I'm not making into them, I'm not doing nothing. You cannot be selfish in job search. If you are only worried about yourself getting a job, you are looking for a job by yourself. The reason we have these meetings, the reason they send out the list every week, so you can see where other people are. And rest assured, anybody in here, call anybody else in here and say, hey, can we talk for 15 minutes? The answer's going to be yes, because we all know what we're going through. I totally got off the subject, I'm sorry. What's the hardest thing you did today? Anybody?
Get up.
Get up.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You know why it was the hardest thing? What movie is that from?
Slumdog.
The reason I put this picture up, people have seen this movie. This guy chased her his whole life. He was trying to track her down his whole life. When he found her, she was in a situation where she couldn't leave. And he said, well, you know what? I'm going to be at the train station every day until we show up. Every day. That's what we have to do. it's hard to get up this morning because we went to bed last night and we didn't have a job. And we got up today with the same hope that today is the day we'll finish. And if it doesn't happen, we gotta get up again tomorrow and the next day. Just like he's gotta go to that train station every day, you gotta get up every day with that same hope. And you know, I've been out 6 months. I know people have been out 2-3 years. And every day they have to get up with that same hope. So, you know, I said earlier about I can't feel sorry for myself. You know, because, you know, like I said, all of us think we got it worse than everybody else in this room. And one of us is right, but the rest of us are wrong. And there's that one person that would trade their life for yours in a heartbeat because of what they're going through. You gotta own your journey. I said earlier, what works for one person will work for everybody else. I went to one job search meeting and they were talking about, you know, you copying and pasting the job description into the bottom of your resume, your cover letter, and put it in white, so that the screener will pick it up, but nobody will see it. And the thing is, if that works, if that gets you by the screener and get you a job, you're a genius. But if you get caught, you're pretty much blackballed from that company. Somebody will try it and it'll work. That doesn't mean you try it. Somebody will have a business card with a red stripe down the side. That doesn't mean that's what you should do. You know, I've seen business card with your face on the back. You know, ain't that pretty? And some of the people's pictures I've seen ain't that pretty. But for some jobs it works. For some job searches it works. For some journeys it works. But just because it works for some people, like I said that question, but what's working for you? Nothing. And if I said it worked for me and you all go run and do it, it ain't gonna work anymore. And if I said, oh, they were dropping, I found out on the football field at midnight, somebody puts a job. And then I tell everybody, the next night, 5,000 people down there. One job. And then 4,999 people mad at me, talking about, well, you said it would work. No, I didn't. I said it worked for me. That don't mean it's gonna work for you. Did you guys do something? Didn't touch it. I'm almost done, but the last few slides are very important. So let's okay. That's all everything you had to do today. Talked about that. About on your journey. Job search is like a marathon, like I said earlier. It's not just about finishing the race. Anybody who's run a race here would know during the race, you do a lot of things tactically. Speed up, slow down, get water. In job search, it's the same way. It's not just about getting to when that job is going to come. It's surviving. It's doing the things that you have to do to keep yourself recharged till you get there. Movie The Gumball Rally. Anybody remember that? It was an old movie. One line in that movie, Raul Julia, who was in the Addams Family. Beginning of it's a movie about a race. Beginning of the race, he reaches up, says to his co-pilot, rips the antenna, the mirror off the windshield, throws it out the window, and he says, "What's behind me is not important." In job search, what's behind you is not important. It would be great to go back to what we did, but at some point, you have to realize you might not be able to. So if you keep looking back at what you used to do, you never see what's coming. Embrace your crazy. Have you? You gotta say if you have, but you have. You applied for a job you didn't want and then got depressed. That's crazy. Bunny slippers are evil. Why do I say bunny slippers are evil? Because if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you got on bunny slippers,
Something's wrong.
you haven't been job searching. I don't care what you say about it. Get out of the house. Go find, because you're not the only person in your subdivision or your town that's been laid off. Go find those people. Network with them. But you can't network at home because you know everybody there. Get out of the house. Go find a meeting like this. You know, everybody who knows about Godel.com, you can get all the list of the meetings. If there's none in your, excuse me, your town, because I live out in Paulding County, which is East Alabama. We have nothing out there. I'm starting my own network meeting. Next month, my church will have it. Because I know there's a whole lot of people out there that I can network with. Get out of the house is the point. Now, your attitude is your most important tool. It's more important than your LinkedIn profile, your resume, your business cards, your hairdo, all that. It's more important. Your smile, your 30-second elevator speech, your attitude. I had an interview yesterday. I'll tell you about Twitter in a minute. I had an interview yesterday for a company. The person interviewing me asked, it was a hiring manager, she asked me to interview. She told me, I don't know what your background is, but you just got the right attitude. Now, the job is not a good fit, and we kind of figured that out. But at the end of the interview, the person said, if you ever need a recommendation, let me know. That was worth for that job. Predator 2, everybody's seen that movie, right? Really, I ain't gonna get into the plot of it. But if you remember at the end of that movie, Danny Glover chased that monster all around town, finally killed it by accident in the spaceship. And all of a sudden, 6 more appeared. And what did he say? Who's next? Yep. That's the attitude you gotta have. You get turned down every day, you gotta keep going. You land a job when you land a job. Everybody heard that about it's a month for every $10,000, right? That works until that day you're supposed to land. And then it's like, oh snap, it don't work. People been out 2 years. Are you looking for $250,000 a year jobs? Okay. I know people landing in a month. You gonna get a job when you get it. You know, it's like the jeweler when I was getting married, he told me you should pay 2 months' salary for your engagement ring. You know, if you think about some stuff just don't make no sense. And this is one of the things that don't make no sense. It's gonna be a month for every $10,000. That just don't make no sense. You know, I say, well, that's on average. Who's average? There's a lot of stupid out here. You gotta just weed through.
I'm up to 500,000 by now.
There you go. You're trying to be Bill Gates, you know? This is important. Life doesn't stop. Family gets sick. Pets get sick. Mortgage bill due. On top of everything else that we're dealing with. And then life just keeps coming. Now, what do you do when you don't know what to do? You ever have those days you get up and you reached out to everybody, you just, okay, you know, you're waiting to hear back from people. You went and looked at your LinkedIn profile, and you just don't know what to do. I'll tell you what you do. You've been all going to different network meetings, you've got a stack of business cards from all these people who you've been networking with, who are in job search. Pull one card out of that pile, randomly. Just shuffle it, grab one. Call that person or send that person an email. Just say, how's your job search going? Now, it's not the same coming from you. Because everybody in here, you can ask anybody else in here, how's your job search going? And we can talk about it. But what you'll find is that when you do that, when you just try to make somebody else feel better, those days when you feel bad, you're going to find somebody reaching out to you. And again, you're not alone in this. It's not all about you. Left field should be BFF. Who said this? You had an interview. And somebody said, oh, how'd you hear about that? Came out of left field. All right. You have your target companies, and you're working them, and then all of a sudden somebody tell you about something else. That's left field. You didn't expect it. It has a tendency to hit when you least expect it. That's why they call it left field. And the last thing you want to do is meet that superior opportunity with an inferior attitude. It's all about attitude. You know, you might meet somebody at the gas station. And you're pumping gas, you're just having a conversation over the pumps. And I mean, in my case, this is somebody came to me and said, look, I don't know what you do, but you got the right attitude. That alone made me feel good. You meet somebody at the gas pump, and you're in a bad mood, and find out they were CEO of the company you're trying to get into. Could happen. So it's always keep your attitude up. Now, how do you spend your time in transition? There's no movie that's just like that picture. Volunteer. Help somebody find a job. If you help somebody, somebody will help you. Find out who you are. Build your new career. Build your network. Keep saying it. Build your network. You're doing it now. Never stop doing it. If you're going through hell, just keep going. Do the journey. Don't let the journey do you. Jump on both feet. You know, it's not the Home Depot. When the job's there, do it. If not, don't. Your job help others. Laugh, cry, stop. That's all part of the journey. Be positive. You can enjoy your negative. You have them bad times, okay, I'm having a bad day. Don't let it become a bad moment. But enjoy it, get it over with, and then, okay, now, what am I going to do? There's no embarrassment being unemployed. You can always tell the people who just got unemployed, because they're trying to hide their face all the time. They're walking around like this. They don't want you to know that they just lost their job. And you realize real quick, oh man, I got to tell everybody I'm unemployed, you know. I mean, I remember the first time I went to Rumsey, 200-300 people in there, and you walk in thinking, you know, and then you realize all these people are looking for a job. You know, put your name on your chest in big letters, you know. But there's no embarrassment in this. We're going to think you're a star like one. This is an opportunity. If you felt bad about your last career, this is your opportunity to reinvent yourself. It's all about attitude. You walk in shy, and oh, I hope you don't find out my secret. It oozes out of you. I'm not saying be arrogant, but be confident in looking at yourself and knowing who you are. And that confidence will come out. That's what you want, is that confidence. When you leave transition, continue to trust God. And give information to anybody asks. That's your way of giving back. Remember the friends you made who haven't landed yet. Help them as much as you can. Don't forget this field. I remember 4 years ago when my parents passed. It was like, you know, people say, oh, well, it'll pass, you know. It'll pass. It's like,
It never passes.
Just hurt you. And this feeling now, it's easy 6 months after you've landed, a year, 2 years, for you to say, oh, okay, I'm comfortable now. And you stop your networking, you stop answering emails from people who are still looking and trying to help. Don't forget this feeling of fear, desperation, anger. Don't forget this. And they say in a couple years we might be back here again. I hope not, but if it happens, just hit the road running. Keep building your network. Okay? I had 50 LinkedIn contacts when I started. I got 350 now. I'm still trying to build them. Hit that where they at 500, but they stop counting. Be career selfish. Corporate loyalty is out the window. Let's be honest. If there was loyalty in companies, none of us would be here. That's the reality of it. When you get your next job, look after you. Because what you're realizing now, what we all realize now is the people at C-level, the executives, that's what they've been doing. You're looking out for them. Whoever next thing might be here again. You don't forget this feeling, you'll always be ready. Don't ask them how the job search is going. Ask them if they can help. Thank you. I got this slide. If you think this was helpful, enjoyable, and you have
you know, any other networking events that you might enjoy, have me come talk, please let me know. I have a blog, Mentally Unemployed. I'm in the process of putting together, and I'll let everybody know, a call-in radio show on this subject, because again, you know, nobody is calling me about it. It's my email address, coming soon.
That's great.
Thank you for your patience, I appreciate it. It's been, and I'll be here next week, so. But I just want to say, for all the people who came out for me today, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we are going to see the video, no lunch today.